And so it was a very experienced bench group. And we're just trying to use this time and this practice opportunity to get more reps for our second unit, because we've always had the advantage playing through our depth. So when you bring Tina and Sil off the bench, they've been mentors to our, first time guards. It's really helpful. So just, continuing to build that momentum and that familiarity with each other and figuring out what style works best. But this is our first real practice opportunity. So it's nice to be able to put some things in without having to worry about playing a game the next day.
One more from me too. I know the whole premise of USA basketball is never to rely on any one person, but if, Dan is able to be back and be, healthy, how much could that affect you guys on the court?
Well, it has a pretty big impact, to be honest with you. And not just because we'll need to rely on her just for scoring, but she's one of the best 3-point shooters in the world, always has been. So she'll be able to stretch the defense. But to be honest with you, similar to what I say about Sue, she knows how to make the players around her better. She moves the ball well. She sees the open guy. She delivers the right pass. So you can't just guard her with one person, because she's literally able to score in so many ways, but she's able to get us easier baskets. Her leadership, her intensity that she plays with elevates us in practice, and that's been very noticeable in the last 2 days.
Thank you.
Thanks. And next, we'll go to Roger Cleveland, and then Tyler Brown's here on deck.
Hi, Jen. Congratulations on everything. You've been involved with USA basketball for such a long time in so many different ways. How different is it for you to be a coach on the bench? And how exciting is that for you to finally be there?
It's very exciting, and it's a tremendous honor. The last Olympics, I was a scout, so I still got to participate in all the coaching meetings and be a voice in practice and help prepare. I work with Dawn a lot, preparing scouts for our opponents. But this time's special because I get to sit on the bench. I get to have an impact in that capacity, still get to do my scouts, which I love to do, and prepare the team. And I think overall, just the familiarity of the foreign opponents that we're playing really helps me in this role. Some of these players, to be honest with you, I coached against when I coached the U19 team back in 2011. I can remember some of them. So I think it's just a special, doing it with Dawn as the Olympic coach is an honor for me. I've been motivated from the beginning to help her win another gold medal this time as a coach. So it's just really exciting. She's inclusive. She asks our opinions all the time, and she really lets us as assistant coaches put a stamp on this team and on the games that we play, and that makes it even more special.
Everybody always talks about the players and their dreams of being in the Olympics one day. It seems like you've done all the right things to be a coach in the Olympics. I mean, how long has it been a dream of yours to be on that bench?
Well, Carol called me for the first time in 2006. So this has been a 15-year journey for me. I was an assistant coach with Doug Bruno for the U18 FIBA Americas in 2006. And I think back then, maybe it didn't seem like a reality, but I'll tell you what, I never said no, other than when I was pregnant with my second child. When Carol called, I said yes. And I've had, multiple roles as chair of the junior national team, as coaches, as assistant coaches, and most recently as a scout in the 2016 Olympics. So I've just tried to prepare myself for this moment. I feel like like I said, my familiarity with being able to do international scouts really makes me an asset on this coaching group. My familiarity with so many of these players that I've coached over the last 15 years helps because I have built-in relationships. So yeah, I think it became more of reality as I got involved in 2014 with the national team. And I've just made sure to make an impact and be somebody who's indispensable by really working hard, sharing my knowledge and preparing the team the best way that we can to win.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And next, Tyler Bronsky.
Hey, Jen, just curious what that team moment was like when Sue was announced that she would serve as the opening ceremony flag bearer.
It was awesome. I mean, Diana was the only one that knew. So Carol asked her to announce it to the group. It was a surprise to all of us, and it was really special. These players all have so many individual accolades over their careers, and they're always shared, obviously, with you all and the public. But it was kind of an intimate moment for our group to be able to hear that and to be able to congratulate her It's so much deserved for Sue and everything that she stood for, not just for USA Basketball, but for the United States. I mean, she's been a role model to so many young women. And I'm just honored to have be a part of her career in this role that I've had, to watch her continue to grow from when she was at UConn after I left, into the woman that she's become today. And it was a really special moment for all of us, and we're really happy for her. And there's no better representation of this United States delegation than Sue.
And Takashi Shibata, you're up.
Hello, Coach Rizzotti. My name is Takeshi Shibata. I'm in Tokyo. I'm a Japanese reporter.
Yes.
And welcome to Tokyo.
Thank
My question is, how much have you watched the Japanese team this year? They have very good warm-ups. I think they have 5 or 6 wins, including one against the number 6 Belgium. So
Yes.
what do you think about it, and what do you know about that team?
Yes, I am very familiar with Japan, and they are my scout. I remember scouting them back in 2019 when they came to play in Washington, D.C. When I was the coach at George Washington. They played us on our home court before I think we left for Tenerife, maybe, or
Antibes.
what was it?
Antibes.
Antibes. So I had that scout back then. I remember, how difficult they were, and it took us a long time, 3.5 quarters, to pull away from them. So there's a lot of respect from the United States for this team. I've also watched them recently to get ready for our game on June 30th. So very familiar with their guard play, how difficult their point guard is to guard off of ball screens, and how much she creates for her teammates. The fact that they spread the floor, they make it really difficult for you to pack the paint, because they'll play a lot of 5 out. They'll set a lot of high ball screens where all the other players are beyond the perimeter, and almost everybody on their team shoots the 3 ball really, really consistently. So although they're undersized, and at times I think teams like ourselves should be able to take advantage of them defensively, they're a really hard matchup for a lot of teams offensively. So a lot of respect. We feel like every pool is tough, but we feel specifically that our pool, starting with Nigeria and then Japan and then France, is really going to test us and really get us ready. And a little bit disappointing that they don't get to play us in front of their home crowd. To be honest, I think we were looking forward to that. I think that's one of the highlights of any Olympics, is to be able to play in front of a full arena, especially against the home team. But we're not going to take them lightly just because there's no fans there. We know that they're a formidable opponent. Their coach does a good job of scheming well on ball screen defense, and I think they'll be ready to pack the paint on us defensively and make it difficult for us to score in easy baskets around the basket.
Okay, thank you so much. ありがとうございました。Enjoy your stay.
Yes, thank you.
Michelle Vogel.
Yeah, I was wondering, with your long history with USA Basketball, with Carol leaving after this Olympics, and maybe a lot of newness or change, how long do you want to continue to be involved? Is this something you want to continue to have a lot of involvement with, in the next, stage of your career?
I don't know. I've kind of always taken it one step at a time. I know that they reset every 4 years, or in this case, it'll be 3 years to get ready for the next quad. With me taking on a new role with the Connecticut Sun as the president, it removes me a little bit from the, coaching responsibilities. Obviously, I don't really know who will take over, but whoever does, I'm sure when that phone rings and it's somebody on the other end from USA Basketball and they want any kind of involvement from me to help with their national team, it'll be hard for me to ever say no. I have relationships across the board, obviously, with Jim Tooley, Caroline, General Dempsey, and everybody that's been involved. And it's a first-class organization. So I always want to be a part of the success of USA Basketball, whatever role that is. I'll always be willing to say yes if there's a way for me to help. But right now, if I don't know what my future holds as far as coaching. If this is the last opportunity that I have to be on the sideline as a coach, it's a pretty good one.
Thank you.
We'll go back to Alexa.
Kind of on that note, Jen, having been involved with USA Basketball over the years, and it's always easy for people to point to the talent disparity between the US and other countries for the reason why the US has been so successful, especially on like, an Olympic stage. But from your perspective, what are, I guess, maybe the attributes that help describe the culture that has led to so much success for so long?
Well, first of all, the best players want to play all the time. I mean, we never want to take that for granted. The fact that Sue and Diana are back for their 5th Olympics is pretty incredible. So, as we all know, I mean, it's hard to make these teams, not because we don't have the talent, it's because we have too much in our country. And that's been evident throughout the years. So we're lucky to have the 12 players that we have. We're lucky that they're committed to being selfless and play for the name in front of their jerseys. And we're lucky that they understand the standard of excellence that is USA basketball. And sometimes when they're young, like they were last week, they play a little tight and they don't play like themselves. But once they're in that program and they see how the veterans operate, how they walk on the floor, how hard they work for however long we decide to go, you start to understand why there's a level of success. And that's from the top down. That's always, it starts with Carol, obviously, as the director of our national team, down to everybody. There's a high level of respect. It's a team effort. It's all hands on deck. And that's always how the culture has been, and it's never changed. And that goes back to the players that have played over the last couple decades.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
And Ida Franklin and then Roger Cleveland. We probably will close out with you, although we may have time for one more question after that.
Hey, how you doing, Coach?
Good. How are you?
I'm well. What does it mean to you to have Sue Bird, BG, Tina Thompson here to help the younger players out? And what does it mean to you to see more women getting recognized as head coaches in different leagues?
Mm-hmm. It means a lot. I think I started playing professionally in the United States in 1996 for the ABL, and we've come a long way. There's more former players that are getting into coaching, and the level of success that someone like Dawn Staley and Cheryl Reeve have had, it just sets a great example for what women are capable of doing. As far as players go, like I said, when Tina, when Sue, when Diana, when BG, when they step on the floor, they understand what it takes to prepare to win an Olympic gold medal. And so they set the standard. And so I'm excited to see, women coaching in different sports. I'm excited to see women getting opportunities in the NBA. And we just need to continue to have women, looking for opportunities to be involved in our game, because, when I listen to what Dawn has to say as a former player and a former Olympian, somebody who's been in their shoes, there's no better message bearer. She understands how their bodies feel. She understands how their minds are. She understands what they're going through emotionally. And I think it's really important that we continue to have role models like that in our game.
Thank you, Coach.
Roger, back to you.
You mentioned the young kids, and obviously Fisa Collier is on the team. She's, I think, still looking for a role for herself, but can you just talk about what she can bring to this team?
Yeah. Well, I think that Nafisa is one of those players that understands that she may have to take on a different role than what she's used to, as all of these players do. She's a scorer. I think her last game in Minnesota, she had 27 points. She's very aware that she's not going to score 27 points for the Olympic team. But she goes in the game and she does her role. She plays hard on every possession. She runs the floor. She offensive rebounds. She's smart. She has a high IQ, so she listens to the defensive schemes and she works hard to execute them. So I think she's really bought into understanding that she'll be a role player on this team. She's a sponge. She wants to learn. And I feel like she's definitely one of the players that's getting better every day.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Jen, if you wouldn't mind, we do have one more from the Olympic channel.
Mm-hmm.
Chloe?
Sorry, thank you for letting me squeeze this in. Does it ever get any easier knowing that the target is on your back at the Olympic Games?
It does not. Someone mentioned before the disparity. I don't think there's as big of a disparity as people think there is in this world. I mean, when you look at the teams that we're playing against in this Olympics, and probably because they narrowed it to 12, we are looking at the very best. So many of these players play professionally in the United States or around the world. And they continue to get better and better every single time we step on the floor in the Olympics. We're excited to be here. We know we have our work cut out for us, but we know it's going to be a challenge. You know, that's why we played the games in Las Vegas. We didn't want to come here and have Nigeria in the first game be our first time together as a team. So we don't have a lot of preparation. We never have. Other teams have probably been together for weeks and months. But that's, you know, kind of what USA basketball has been about. We got to come together in a short amount of time. We got to compete against really special teams in the world.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jen.
All right. Well, I know you guys were all, you know, excited for me and got on early, and it had nothing to do with Diana Taurasi coming on after me. But just want to thank you. I also want to let you know, I know that there was a reporter here from Tokyo. I used to live here when I was in middle school, so it's a kind of a bummer that I can't go back to my old stomping grounds, but it's definitely nice to be back in Tokyo, and it's an honor to be serving in the Olympics in a country that I used to live in. So peace out. Thanks.
Thanks, Coach.